From Kansas City, Missouri, this is the 2019 MIAA Football Media Day. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams. Thanks for watching our coverage here on MidwestSports.net. And we have had a full day already. We're starting our second part right now of our coverage here from the Kauffman Foundation Conference Center. And I'm joined now by the Northeastern State head coach, the new head coach, J.J. Eckert. Coach, thank you very much for stopping by and taking some time with us today. Your first MIAA Football Media Day. What's it been like for you today?
Oh, it's been amazing. What a great facility to have it. I mean, this is an unbelievable place. I mean, it's set up so well. I mean, Mr. Racy did a tremendous job of getting it put together. So it's been really enjoyable. I mean, the hospitality's been great. The food's been even better. I mean, and had a chance to talk a little football in the process. So that always makes it good.
That's just a great day all the way around,
Certainly,
isn't it? Food and football and just visiting.
Can't beat it.
Well, listen, Coach, I know that you're no stranger to Northeastern by any stretch of the imagination, having played there, having been a part of staffs there in the past, now coming to take the program. Then you find the program in a tough football conference, to say the least. What's your first outlook? How do you go into this as you took the reins? What were the first thoughts and things that you wanted to see, make adjustments to move farther up the line?
Well, I think the big thing was making sure we evaluated what we had on campus first. I mean, you know how that is sometimes, is you never know exactly what you're walking into. And it was to kind of get to obviously know what kind of character and what kind of talent we had in Tahlequah. And, obviously we were able to see that through the whole process of, winter conditioning and the spring practice and so forth. And, I think we made a lot of headway there. I mean, I think we were able to find out that we had some quality student athletes. We have some individuals that are hungry for success and that want to be part of it and are willing to be the change to make that happen. So, I think all of that is very important. And then once we got through that, we realized we needed to go sign some quality student athletes as well. So the recruiting process was big. And, I thought that was one thing when we started this thing back in December, was making sure we put together a great coaching staff. And I think we did that in every coach that we have on the staff. Great individuals, but also great people that are going to be great coaches and great mentors to our players. So, I think those were very, very important elements that once we hit the recruiting trail and once we got to a point of now getting to that spring practice, that we've been able to develop a little bit of a culture in a shorter period of time of expectations and things that we wanted to be known for and things that we wanted to be able to do within the program to find a way to be a competitive program on a weekly basis. As you said, in a very tough conference.
In a very tough conference. And that actually was one of the things I wanted to ask you, too. I mean, you felt like you got to be enough a part of the recruiting this year. You were there early enough and got the coaching staff put in place enough that you were able to, as things went on, get to be a part of this. Or I know next year we'll probably feel a little bit more comfortable from that aspect, but you feel like you're able to get some boys in place.
I think so, and it was kind of unique listening to Coach Wright talk at Northwest Missouri, how they have 114 guys there. I was like, wow, so that's a lot of guys to have in the summer. I said, I think we're still trying to recruit to get to 114. Right. And you know how that is. I mean, we've have to still continue to try to recruit some guys from a depth standpoint. But I think you're right. I mean, I think it would get us that much farther ahead when you've had a calendar to be able to recruit a kid, rather than it be a 4-week process or a 6-week process or whatever that situation might have been. And we lost some guys. I mean, that was a tough part. I mean, some guys that we just jumped in on, whether it be the 1st of January, that had already kind of been committed to some other schools, and we just didn't have the ability to flip some of them because of the relationships and the time that we had invested wasn't quite what they had with the other school that they were committed to. So I think it's would be a completely different recruiting calendar for us moving forward. I mean, we've got a lot of kids evaluated, we've got some kids offered, and ultimately we've had some kids on campus for unofficial. So I think those are all positives that will help lend us to hopefully be more successful in recruiting in the 2020 class.
Coach, you come from the junior college ranks as well, having coached there at some different stops along the way. Is that going to be a path that you see bringing student athletes in on campus through, because you've been there and you know that particular brand of football?
I think it's a great level of football, and as I said earlier, I think every student athlete that's at the junior college level has a story too. they're all trying to open up some doors for the futures. Maybe didn't get recruited out of high school. You know how those scenarios go. I mean, all kind of things. And I think it will ultimately be a path that we'll go and address with needs. I mean, things that we want to fill immediately for whatever position that might be. So we're going to work hard on building it, hopefully through the high school ranks. But ultimately, there's going to be times that we're going to have to go lend ourselves to finding some guys in the junior college ranks that could come in and help us immediately. And I think that's one thing for us right now. I mean, collectively as a football team, we're not as deep as we probably should be on the offensive lines and defensive lines. So that will be an area that we'll continue to recruit through the junior college ranks until we can get those guys to a point to have, obviously the development and the player development that goes along with that process so they can be contributors, whether it be in their sophomore year or going into their junior year. So, I think that was it really is something that I think we'll probably recruit on a need-be basis, but ultimately it's going to be something that we're going to try to recruit the Kansas, the Mississippi, and Kansas, Mississippi, and Texas to find those guys that would be great fits for us at NSU as well.
Speaking now with Coach J.J. Eckert from Northeastern State. And, Coach, then let me follow that up. If it does seem to be a little bit lean in those areas, and you were mentioning specifically the lines, offensive and defensively, how do you make that up then coming in, because camp's right around the corner and then the season about a month away?
It does. I mean, that's a challenge, and I think that's one thing that you hope that, I've got to ask a lot about some of our newcomers, and it's like, can these guys help you? Well, I know they can help us. The question is going to be, how fast can they help us?
Right.
I mean, that transformation, I don't think it will be a big issue. When you talk about scheme, it's going to be an issue about how fast can they adapt to college. How fast can they adapt to being an 18 or 19-year-old with all the responsibilities that you have as a college student athlete? And so I hope there's a lot of pleasant surprises. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. I'm hoping that there's some guys that can come in and ultimately contribute early. And if you do that, you're going to have some guys that have a chance to grow through the program. And anytime you can do that, that creates some continuity that allows you to build on moving forward as well.
All right. Coach J.J. Eckert from Northeastern State, having played there, having coached there. One final question then. If the boys get out of line, would you ever make them run the bleachers at Doc Wadley Stadium?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been trying to figure out which one's harder, because I had to walk to the press box the other day, and I walked from the bottom to the top of Doc Wadley Stadium, and I'm looking around going, goodness gracious, that is one of the toughest
it really
things. And when, I go back, I used to be the stat guy. So after the game, when I was a little kid, I'd run up, and it was awesome. I'd go up top and get the reports and bring them back down and pass them out to the coaches. I walked up to the day and I looked at the top and I was like, wow, what a beautiful view. And I had to sit down and take it in for a while. So, yeah, I think that would be a great reminder tool that would probably go in place to make sure that they wouldn't want to do that again.
No, they wouldn't want to. If you've never seen a game at Tahlequah on the campus at Northeastern State there, Doc Wadley Stadium has great view, as you mentioned.
Great view.
It's a wonderful view of the stadium and for miles to the east there as well. But you don't want to walk that many more times than you have to.
You do not. That's exactly right.
Coach, success to you this season. Thank you for taking some time with us today here on MidwestSports.net, and we look forward to following then the program with your leadership.
Well, thank you so much for being here today as well.
All right. Coach J.J. Eckert from Northeastern State. We'll take a break for a moment and back with more here, our coverage of the MIAA Football Media Day on MidwestSports.net. back here at the MIAA Football Media Day, and I am joined now by the head football coach for Emporia State, Garen Higgins. Coach, you come in now, and this is a program, really, it's a program that's seen success for many years back, but then in the last 4 years, specifically 3 times playing in the postseason in the last 4 years, 2 of them playoff appearances, and then a bowl game win last season. The faces have shifted, though, in the past 4 years. So what does it look like this year, and how do you continue that success?
Well, I think, to me, it's all about the players. And I think that we've established, a work ethic there, kind of a standard there, and it's taken us a while. And a lot of that boils down to recruiting and getting the right type of kids. But I think that with that being said, our players understand there's a standard and they want to work to surpass it, and going into last year, what the most I'm proud about from last year is we started off 2-3 and had a lot of expectations, of course, just like we do every year now,
right?
Because we feel like that we do have a championship
and
program.
Should.
Yeah, and so we started off 2-3, and then we ended up winning 6 out of our last 7 games. Went to a bowl game, won the bowl game, which I think is awesome because it's so difficult to make the playoffs in the MIAA that if you have the opportunity to play in a bowl game and then you win it,
right?
Well, you kind of have that positive feeling. I know as a coach, as a player, it feels good to win. We've been in the playoffs and made it all the way to the regional championship game and got beat, and I felt just as bad as if I would have got beat in the regular season. It doesn't,
no,
because the season's over.
Right.
But in a bowl win, you kind of have a little positive vibe moving forward, and I think our players have, let that momentum help them. I think our guys work hard. I think they care. I do. I think our players, and I think that's why we have success. I mean, I love my players. Did we work any harder this spring than we did the previous spring? I don't know. I really don't. But I just think that we have something established there that they understand what's expected of them. Same thing throughout the summertime too. I think that it's not about necessarily what you do offensively and defensively. It's the type of players you have in your program and how committed they are as teammates. That's what I found out. I've been in the MIAA now for 12 years. And believe me, when I first got in the MIAA back in 2007, I thought I knew everything. But I was very humbled very early and quickly. And I think at the end of the day, it made me a better coach. It made me see things and look at things differently. I've gotten older, so it's like wine. I think I've got a little bit wiser. But to me, it's about
your way of looking at it.
I'm telling you,
it.
It's about your team. It's about your players, and it's about how well they. And you can talk about caring about one another, but do they really? And I think that's our job as coaches. And I majored in psychology when I went to this my alma mater. This is where I got my degree from, is Emporia State. But I'm a big believer in that, just because of the MIAA is such a tough league, and each and every Saturday you're going to face some adversity. We've won games that we shouldn't have won. We've won games last play of the game. We've lost games that we should have won. We've lost games at the end of a game that it just tears you apart. So with that being said, if you got the guys that can stick together, and we stuck together last year. Like I said, we started off 2-3, and we fought our way out of it, and that was huge for us. But it's about our kids. It's about the type of players that we have. So if we can keep doing that, and my coaching staff does an unbelievable job of getting the right – we always talk about getting the right type of guys on the bus, because we can watch film on players, and they all look good, believe me. But it's about what they're made of and what their traits are, and will that be carry over in our football program where we have that opportunity to have success.
Coach, you talk about the wins at the end of the season, too, and how you made the end of the season better. I think even the way that it wound down, too, because your season finale is a win over a UCO team that had a 5-game winning streak coming in, and then you win the bowl game as well. Postseason,
on the road that last game, too.
Exactly.
On the road, yeah.
Exactly. So postseason as it is, obviously the goal is to be in the playoffs. You play in a bowl game. I've heard coaches say many times, well, that just means we get some extra practices that some other teams won't get.
Right.
Was that the case, and you're able to use that for this year?
Yeah, no question. That does give you kind of extra. So the way I look at it is we have 15 days of spring football. Well, in our preparation for the bowl game, we had an extra 2 weeks of practice. So we almost had another half of spring ball that we could utilize with our young guys that are red shirts that were not getting that opportunity. As you go throughout the season, they're down there on scout team. So we were able to get those guys back in and get those guys kind of refocused and let them know, hey, you're important to this program. Kind of let them do some things and kind of treat it as a spring football session, even though it's during the fall.
Coach, at least from my perspective, you think about Emporia State football in the last couple of years specifically, then the name Justin Brown comes to mind. What do we look at in 2019 now?
As far as who that next guy is going to be, as far as the impact guy,
you can drop a name or two and say, hey, these are people that might be able to step up.
Yeah, I think that one guy that comes to my mind, and maybe it's just because he's been there so long, but no, he really is a talented player. Is Kai Callens. Mm-hmm. Kai in 2014, I think had 2 games. He was a true freshman, rushed for over 100 yards, and then he got hurt in 2015. Got hurt again in 2016, I think, or 17. But he's been through a lot. He's been through 2 knee injuries that have kind of set him back a little bit. And then our tailback Landon Nault last year kind of, he had a great year last year. Kai played; he was very productive for us and had a big role on our offense. But he's a guy that I look at that just with his versatility. And him knowing that it's his last year and what he has been through and how he is as an individual. I mean, he's very competitive. That he's a name that I'm going to throw out there, along with our guys up front. I mean, those guys, I'm not going to say their names because we always say they're no-name guys anyway, right? They're the unsung heroes.
So let's stick with it.
But we got 4 out of 5 starters back. So,
right.
Yeah, I think they're going to be an impact for us.
And that is what you would have to pave a way for a Kai Callens.
No question. That, being able to establish the run, because being able to do that's going to take the pressure off a new starting quarterback. And then, having a good defense, which we return basically everybody, it also gives you that opportunity to kind of lean on something until maybe the quarterback gets through some growing pains.
Okay, then let's follow that up and wrap up our time here as a quarterback is growing then. What do you see as a strength of this team then to make up that slack in the meantime and to fill for that and something that will come into the 2019 season strong?
Yeah, I think defensively. I think that's going to be – we've always been known just because we've had some really good receivers. We've had some really good – we've had last 3 quarterbacks, 2 out of 3 of them were MIAA Player of the Year. So you can kind of focus on the offense at Emporia State. Well, now, hey, I think it's going to be our defense. That's going to be the strength of our team. Like I said, 9 out of top 10 tacklers back, starting Mike Linebacker back, who's the leading tackler in the MIAA. That, to me, is going to be – kind of the leader of the team, especially until offensively we kind of get going. I mean, I hope we get going right off the bat, being as good as we've been offensively, but, we may not. And we got to have some other spots step up.
Well, and the season is just right around the corner. Camp a little bit less than 2 weeks away, and then the season gets underway on a Thursday night.
Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, we're excited to get it going.
All right, Coach Garen Higgins from Emporia State. Coach, thank you very much for taking time with us today on MidwestSports.net.
Nice
to meet you, sir. We'll take a break. Back in a moment with more coverage here from the MIAA Football Media Day. We got through visiting with the head coach at Emporia State. We get to now visit with one of the players that he mentioned just a moment ago, Kai Callens, running back on this Emporia State Hornet team. Kai, thank you for stopping by and visiting here. It's been a big day already, and you had an opportunity to talk on the big stage.
Yeah.
Getting ready for the football season now.
Oh yeah, we're ready for the season to come up. I know summer and spring can seem like it takes an eternity. I know, especially that last month. But yeah, we're super excited to get ready and can't wait to fall camp.
Does it feel more real now that you actually get to talk about it? I mean, you're not running yet.
Yeah, it really does. Like, I know when I first came here, I was like, man, I got weights tomorrow. I still got like pictures tonight I still have to take, and then getting to talk about it, I was like, man, it's really right here. Because I mean, we have a timer that tells us, X amount of days till our next game, and it's like you see it, but it doesn't seem real. But now, yeah, as you said, as we're talking about,
now it's starting to be real.
Yeah.
Well, and the season is just right around the corner, and you all were picked 6th according to the preseason polls. And I know polls, they are what they are. Sometimes it gives motivation. Sometimes it's just something that you blow off. But I would imagine you all have enough motivation on your own right now, especially you individually then coming back, and this is your final year.
Right.
Finally, maybe,
yeah,
right?
Finally here.
But also with the way that you all closed out last season. Talk about both of those things, both individually and as a team.
Okay, so I know first off, like with the whole preseason polls, I mean, there's one year I remember we were like ranked like in the top 5 maybe in the nation, and then we ended up going 6 and 5. And then there's been years that we're like dang near on the bottom as far as on the conference. They end up, finishing 2nd or 3rd. So it's like, there's, as you said, I mean, the polls we really don't pay much attention to. We always play with the chip on our shoulder regardless. As far as individually, that's how I've always been brought up. Like whether you're projected to win the championship or if you're supposed to finish last, you're always supposed to treat every day like, okay, I'm gonna win the championship. I'm gonna win each game, each game. I'm excited. Finally get this last season underway. It's been a long time coming, but it's finally here.
So, and with injuries, and you've had to redshirt and sit on the sidelines for a little while and watch other people do it. Now it really is your opportunity and your chance to shine. What does that mean to you? Because Coach mentioned you as one of the players to step it up this year and be a person to lead this team.
Right. So I know, some people know what I can do, but I really want to prove what I can really do. I've been the backup since I've been here, and, I've played behind some pretty good players, but yeah, now I finally get my opportunity. Like words can't describe how excited I am because it's like finally, the world gets to see who Kai Callens is.
It's not bad playing behind good players because you get something to learn from.
Right.
But now you're going to get to be that teacher this year, and they're going to be younger players that are looking up to you.
Right.
You all come in, again, coming off of wins to really close out the season strong from last year. What do you take from that?
Oh, just a positive mentality. I know, obviously, we wanted to make the playoffs and, win the natty essentially. But, like Coach Higgins, I've heard him say it a couple times that if you make the playoffs, there's only going to be one team that ends the season with a win. So though we made a bowl game, we ended on a high note. So just that positive mentality, going to the spring and the summer. As far as leading the young guys, I know that's a bigger role that I have to take. Usually I let the older running backs take care of that, but now that I'm that guy, I'm going to have to speak up a little bit.
Yeah, that really was what I wanted to ask. How do you see yourself? Because the leadership role really is, sometimes it's by default from the fact that you've just aged into a position.
Right.
But sometimes when, people see and they know the potential is there to really make something happen and make it be a special year, then they look to you even for that as well. How does that feel?
It feels good. I know Little League to high school, I've always been the guy that people looked up to. And some of those times, like you said, I was just kind of thrown into the fire, like, hey, you're the oldest, you're supposed to be the leader of this team. And there's been times where, I've kind of been the younger guy on the team, speaking up because I didn't feel like the older guys were taking that role on. But I definitely learned from, Landon and some of the other guys that were on that last year senior class on how to lead and basically help push the young guys to be better.
All right, so as we speak with Kai Callens here, who, by the way, played high school ball in Oklahoma. We've had an Oklahoma connection here with a number of folks today. I'm from Oklahoma as well, and scored 4 touchdowns in a state championship game.
Oh,
Fantastic. Well, yeah, we're throwing it back right there. But that had to be said. That needs to be brought up every now and then. And it really does. That's a fantastic achievement. What should people look for when they see you on the field this year?
I just think versatility for sure. You know, how we've done things around here is usually, you know, if you're a running back, you play running back. If you're a receiver, you play receiver. I've always kind of seen myself as both. You know, obviously I want running back to be the main priority because, like, if a play is called, okay, you know you're getting the ball. You know, at receiver, I mean, there's 3 other guys that he could possibly throw it to. So, but yeah, definitely versatility. You know, I love running the ball, but I also like running routes. You know, and catching it when you're already 10, 15 yards up the field. But yeah, I'll definitely say versatility.
So you could see yourself getting 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards.
I wouldn't say those. I mean, definitely.
Okay, I'm not putting any words in his mouth. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Definitely, I would love to get that at rushing because I know it hasn't been done a lot.
Right.
But receiving, I'll go for at least 500.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm hoping.
I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but you want to set the goals high,
right?
And
Exactly.
push towards something good. Well, the Hornets again picked 6th in the preseason poll, but I know that you're going to have something to say about that on the field. And football is right around the corner. Kai Callens, thank you so much for taking time and visiting with us here on MidwestSports.net. We're going to take one more break. Back in a moment here with our coverage of the MIAA Football Media Day in 2019. Our final guest of the day, maybe the biggest guest of the day, the commissioner here at the MIAA. And we are very, very thankful to have you. Mike Racy, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you being here.
Blessed to be here, thankful to get to be here. The coaches and the student athletes that I've had an opportunity to visit with over the course of the day have just been fantastic. I think they're great representatives of both their schools and the conference as well. And just a great event today as well.
Yeah, I agree. We have really special student athletes and coaches, and today is a great day to help kick off MIAA football. I think there was a lot of energy in the room. The press conferences went very well. We had a really good media turnout, and so yeah, just overall a very good day for the conference.
here at the Kauffman Foundation Conference Center in Kansas City, and I would say also again, thankful to them. It's a beautiful facility,
Yes,
a wonderful place here in a great town like Kansas City as well. You talked about what the football teams have done and even shared a little bit earlier today some of the accolades from the previous season. Can you talk about that just for a moment and how that moves over into 2019? Obviously, football in the MIAA always gives something for the next season to build on, but 2018 was no different.
2018 was another banner year for the conference. We put 5 of our programs into postseason, 2 into the playoffs, 3 into the bowl games. All 3 teams in the bowl games won. We had a playoff victory. Didn't get as far in the playoffs as we like to or as we're used to in the MIAA, but I think it just last year and then the year before, where we've had 8 different programs make it to postseason, it speaks to the strength of the conference from top to bottom. There are a couple of conferences out there in Division II that have really good programs, but they're top heavy, and that's not the case in the MIAA. Every weekend's a battle. Our coaches know that. Our student athletes know that. They're playing in some of the nicest facilities against some of the toughest teams every week in the MIAA. And I expect the same thing's going to be true in 2019. The programs that were at the top last year, they expect to be just as strong. Northwest Missouri, Fort Hays State, Pittsburgh State. But we have a lot of programs that are hungry and on the move. And I look at a school like Nebraska Kearney that Coach Josh Lynn has that program heading in the right direction. I look at a program like the University of Central Oklahoma that the past couple of years have gotten off to a slow start, but at the end of the year playing some of the best football in the country. And every week's a battle, and this won't be any different. It'll be a dogfight to the end.
Speaking now with the commissioner here at the MIAA, and we're talking football today, but just a general statement or question about the conference as well. A little bit of shift in membership. Can you talk about that coming into the 2019-2020 season?
Yeah, so we had 2 schools that looked at the geography of NCAA Division II athletics and an opportunity for them with an invitation to go to the Great Lakes Valley Conference to actually align with schools that were geographically closer. And they felt that made sense for them, and I don't disagree. So Lindenwood and Southwest Baptist have left the conference. Both play football, but Southwest Baptist had been playing with the GLVC the last couple of years in football. So we lost Lindenwood as a football member. We brought Lincoln University back in. They were a full member in everything but football. We brought them back in as a football member, and they replaced Lindenwood in the schedule. And then we've added, for the first time, we've added members that do not have football in 2 schools, Rogers State in Claremore, Oklahoma, and then Newman University in Wichita, Kansas. Both of those schools will be members in the MIAA in all sports. They are labeled as associate members, though, because they do not have football. And as a conference, we're still going through a study on whether or not to have full membership for a university that does not sponsor football. We hope to make that decision here in the next year or 2, and then we'll make a decision if Rogers State and Newman are the right schools for full membership.
All right. Well, that's a big deal as well. It expands your conference footprint a little bit, not so much geographically, as you already had a presence in the state of Oklahoma, obviously a presence in the state of Kansas as well, but it does expand things for you there. And of course, Lincoln, you think MIAA anyway. They're just playing that GLVC schedule football-wise, so it's going to be interesting to see that back as part of the football schedule.
Yeah, in NCAA Division II, where everything we do is based on regionalization, that's how we select our teams for our playoffs and the championships, and that's how we're organized. And any conversation that a conference has in Division II, it is about geography. And for us, with Newman and Rogers State being in our current footprint and needing a place to play and adding membership in sports where we need schools, soccer, tennis, to name just a couple. That made perfect sense, and I applaud our membership for taking those schools in, and those schools or student athletes or coaches, whether they're a full member or an associate member, it won't matter. They won't be able to tell the difference. They're playing a schedule. They will be playing in our postseason events, and they're eligible for the AQ to the NCAA if they win our tournament. And then for Lincoln, we're excited that they've been in and out of our membership as a football member. They've put a lot of money into their football program recently. They've updated their stadium. They're excited to be back with the MIAA, and it'll be interesting to see how they do this year.
It is looking to be an exciting season. You talked about teams that were at the top, and of course, according to the preseason coaches poll and media poll that were released today here at the Media Day, top three in no particular order. Well, I say that because there are two of them at the top in different polls. Northwest Missouri at the top of one poll, Fort Hays State at the top of the other poll. Those are reversed, and then Pittsburgh State is number 3 in that. Commissioner, one last question then, and again, thank you for being with us today. How does the MIAA then put its best foot forward in 2019, 2020? How do you see the conference stepping ahead?
Well, I'll talk about that beyond just football, and it's the success that the conference has had nationally in all of our sports. In the last 3 years, we've won 11 national championships in 8 different sports, and by 6 different institutions. And again, that speaks to a conference that's not just a football conference, or not just a basketball conference, or not just a track and field conference. We do pretty well in everything. And then when our student athletes, when they get to these championships, last year 6 of them were recognized as a top scholar of all student athletes competing at that national championship. So that just says a lot about the MIAA isn't just great on the field. We're great in the classroom. Our student athletes contribute and make a difference in their community. And that's what we want to be about. We want people that appreciate college athletics to recognize at the NCAA Division II level really good athletes that are also students, and think about their community and know that what's important is the degree and the type of person they will be after they graduate, and how they get back to their school and wherever it is that they're living.
All right, so that's the look ahead for 2019, 2020, and the seasons are upon us. I know things will get underway in September. Football, volleyball, cross country, soccer, those things get underway very, very quickly. Commissioner Racy, thank you so much for taking time with us today here on MidwestSports.net.
You bet. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. We wrap things up then here from Kansas City from the Football Media Day 2019 here at the MIAA Football Media Day. I'm Joey McWilliams. Thanks for watching this broadcast of MidwestSports.net. God bless you, everyone. Have a great one.